What is up, guys, and welcome to today's video where we will be discussing the Mount Rushmore of tag teams in professional wrestling. Tag teams have been an integral part of the sport, bringing excitement, athleticism, and drama to the ring. Today, I will be taking a closer look at some of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history and considering which 4 teams deserve to be honored on the casual wrestling's Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling tag teams. So sit back, grab a snack, and let's dive into the world of professional wrestling and especially tag teams. All right, let's have a little bit of historical context before we start here. So the tag team wrestling scene has definitely evolved over the years, and what may have been considered great for a tag team in like the 80s and 90s doesn't necessarily hold up in today's era. I definitely put more weight on modern day wrestling than I do on historical wrestling. Take that into consideration when I make my chart here, and understand that Mount Rushmores are all based on personal preference. It doesn't matter what 4 teams I put onto my Mount Rushmore, somebody's going to have a problem. That is why after the video, after you're done watching the video, jump into the comment section and give me your Mount Rushmore and let's talk about it, right? Some people will argue for other teams. Some people will argue for the teams that I pick, but you can make your own Mount Rushmore. Let me know who they are. So I'm going to start out with the first tag team on my Mount Rushmore. And I'm going to put the Legion of Doom, also known as the Road Warriors. Look, they were known for they were just impressive, right? Impressive physique, biker style kind of ring gear, intense tag team. Like they were the trailblazers for the tag team division in the 80s and 90s. And they won numerous championships in various different organizations. And it's hard for me, even though I didn't get a lot of eyeballs on what they did, I understand the historical context of the Legion of Doom. And that is why if I'm going to add a historical team to this list, this is the team that makes it for me. So I'm going Legion of Doom as the first member of my Mount Rushmore. Secondly, I'm going to hit you guys with the Dudley Boys. And give me a second, because this was interesting, because there was a back and forth between me picking the Dudley Boys and me picking Christian and Edge. And I essentially landed on the Dudley Boys because I think, in my mind at least, they kind of revolutionized hardcore wrestling. And I know Edge and Christian were there with them, but I do feel like that I just associate their ability to kind of take it to different places. That kind of puts them over the top to me, and their use of like brutality and violence in their matches, it was kind of previously unseen before the Dudley Boys in tag team wrestling. And they're almost synonymous with tables at this point in wrestling. Like when you hear "get the table" or you hear a table chant, it always takes me immediately back to the Dudley Boys. So it's hard for me to omit Christian and Edge. But it would be even harder for me not to put the Dudley Boys on a list of the best tag teams. That's just the way it is. Which then leads me to my third team on the Mount Rushmore of tag team wrestling, tag team wrestling teams, is the Hardys. And I'm not a huge Matt and Jeff Hardy fan, but I think you have to respect what they've meant to the professional wrestling industry and the path they've kind of paved, right? There were a lot of tag teams, especially like the Jacksons, a lot of current tag teams who have modeled themselves after the model of the Hardy Boys. And they had a storied career. They kind of innovated some of the high-flying, like dangerous wrestling that we see today, especially in AEW. Kind of the Daredevil style, the Darby Allins, the Nick and Matt Jacksons. Like they have paved the way for a lot of these wrestlers. They also won multiple tag team championships. They've won championships in multiple different organizations, and they've been involved in some of the most memorable tag team matches in wrestling history. It goes without saying. I think the problem is that I can only pick 4 teams. And I, as much as I want to put Edge and Christian on this list because of my fondness, number one, because I think Christian's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I have a high level of respect for Edge, but as I'm carving out my top 4 tag teams of all time, I think I just have to go Legion of Doom, I have to go the Hardys, and I have to go the Dudley Boys. which leaves me with my fourth and final spot. And this is the one that people are probably going to argue and probably going to find controversial. But I don't think you can make a tag team Mount Rushmore without the Usos. Jimmy and Jey Uso have been, as far as modern day wrestling go, to hold the tag team titles as long as they've held it, to hold the attention of crowds as long as they've held it, to almost be a second tier act to Roman Reigns and still be as over as they are. They have forever been in the shadows of Roman Reigns, and still their popularity is through the roof. And don't give me that it's because of the bloodline. The Usos are impressive. Like, I've never sat down and watched, at least in the last 3 years, an Usos match that I didn't think was one of the best tag team matches that I've seen, whether it's against the Street Profits, whether it's against the New Day, whoever they're fighting, it's at a high level. And they've dominated the tag team scene for the last 2 years, like just completely, in a time where people's attention spans are shorter than they've ever been. The Usos are dominating the attention span of wrestling fans. And I think that there's a level of credibility that has to be given to them. I think that you can't argue their record-breaking tag team reigns. There's a part of me that says they're the best tag team of all time. That gets argued all the time, but I stick to believing that it's just sports evolves over time. The NBA has evolved, the NFL has evolved, and what happens 5 years from now will always be better than what happened right now. It's just the way that humans progress. And I believe that's the same with tag team wrestling. I believe that we are at right now, the apex of talent as far as professional wrestling goes. And I think when you look at tag teams, I know I get the IWC will argue for Matt and Nick Jackson. I get that there will be arguments by some people for other teams, but I think that the Usos are the best, for sure, current tag team in professional wrestling, and I can make the argument for them being the greatest wrestling tag team of all time. So in conclusion, guys, look, creating a Mount Rushmore of tag teams, it's fun. It's a great way to celebrate rich history in professional wrestling. And I'm sure you guys are going to have other tag teams that you want to put on that list. Like I said, it's important to remember your list is not going to be the same as mine, and that's 100% okay. I want to hear who you have, and I want to maybe be educated by your thoughts on my list. So go ahead, drop your list in the comments. I encourage you guys, make your list. Let's have fun talking about it. And thank you guys for watching this video, and we can ring the final bell.